If you're a homeowner tracking your equity, if you're a seller thinking about timing or pricing, or if you're just someone who cares about how your community is changing, this video is for you. So I put these updates out regularly. So if this is the kind of local, grounded analysis and you find it useful, take a second to just hit that subscribe button. It helps more North Shore homeowners like yourself actually see what's happening around them. All right, let's zoom out first. Big picture, North Shore overview. We're looking across the North Shore as a whole in January. So here's what stands out. We had 56 closed single-family home sales across 22 North Shore towns. That alone tells us something important. This is not a frozen market. Homes are still trading hands, but where and how they're selling varies a lot more than people assume. The average single-family sale price across North Shore came in just over $2 million, around $2.03 million to be exact. Now, that number gets quoted a lot, and it's also one of the easiest numbers to misunderstand. That 2 million plus average does not mean homes are selling there. It means that higher priced luxury villages are pulling the average upward, while many towns are trading well below that level, but doing so with far more activity. When we look at the days on market, the North Shore averaged about 59 days. That's a really important number. It tells us we're not in a frenzied, everything sells in 2 weeks environment, but we're also not in a stalled market. And this is what I describe as a selective, normalized market. Homes that are priced well, presented well, and aligned with buyer expectations are moving. Homes that miss the mark are sitting long enough for sellers to feel it. And if you own a home on the North Shore, this probably matches what you're seeing. Some neighbors sell quickly, others linger, and pricing conversations have become much more nuanced than just list it and let's see what happens. So let's take a look at some town comparisons, some pattern-based, not one by one. Now, let's talk about how different parts of the North Shore are behaving. First, where's the market moving faster? And a handful of towns stood out for stronger velocity, meaning homes moved faster than the North Shore average. Places like Roslyn, Kings Point, and Port Washington all posted days on market numbers below the broader average while still maintaining solid pricing. These are towns with consistent demand, strong school districts, housing stock that matches what today's buyers want. For homeowners in this area, the takeaway is not you can price however you want. It's this: the market will reward alignment when price, condition, and expectations line up. Buyers are still decisive. Now, where things have slowed down, on the other end of the spectrum, towns like Seacliff, Mill Neck, Old Brookville showed noticeably longer days on market. Seacliff in particular stood out with the slowest average days on market in the North Shore at around 91 days. That doesn't mean that these towns are weak markets, but it does mean that buyers are taking more time and sellers need to be realistic about pricing precision, how their home compares to the alternatives, and how long they're willing to wait for the right buyer. This is really where expectation matters. It just matters the most. If this particular breakdown is helpful so far, just go ahead and hit the like button. It tells me to keep doing these deep local updates instead of just the surface level takes, and kind of gets the message out to more people. So let's get back to it. So now let's talk about pricing power. Let's talk about outliers and headline moments. Every month, there are a few moments in the data that really jump out. The kind of things that tell us how buyers and sellers are thinking. Not just that they're paying, with the highest pricing on the North Shore, the highest average sales price this month came out. It was actually in Oyster Bay Cove at roughly $5.2 million. That's not shocking, but here's what is interesting. Oyster Bay Cove had just one sale, and that's important. In these ultra luxury villages, Oyster Bay Cove, Laddingtown, Matinacock, Roslyn Harbor, a single transaction can dramatically shape the numbers. For homeowners in these areas, this is the key takeaway. Pricing strengths exist, but liquidity is thin. When a buyer shows up, pricing can be exceptional, as we all know, but timing here, it's unpredictable and velocity isn't guaranteed. The fastest average days on market belonged to Upper Brookville at just 16 days. And this matters. That was just driven by one sale. So rather than reading that as Upper Brookville is suddenly on fire, the smarter interpretation of that would be when the right home hits the market and it's priced correctly, buyers still move quickly, even at these higher price points. Then the slowest moving town on the other end, Seacliff's 91 days, average days on market really stood out. And that tells us buyers are more deliberate there right now. And for sellers, that's not a warning, it's information. It suggests fewer impulse decisions, more comparison shopping, and more sensitivity to pricing and condition. So what does this really mean for homeowners and sellers? So let's translate all of this into real world implications. If you're a homeowner tracking value, the North Shore remains structurally strong. Prices are holding, demand has definitely not disappeared, and there's no signs of forced selling, but value growth is no longer automatic. Equity is being protected by quality, it's not just location. If you're a seller thinking about timing the market rewards preparation more than urgency. Homes that sell fastest right now tend to be well-priced, well-presented, and positioned realistically against the current competition. Overpricing isn't catastrophic, but it's costly in time. And the longer that you sit on the market, it changes the buyer psychology. So if you're pricing a home, the biggest mistake that sellers make in this environment is assuming that the neighbor's sale defines their value. What matters now is how your home compares today, not what sold 6, 9, 12 months ago, and what feels fair emotionally. And a quick note for buyers watching this, patience and selectivity are giving you more leverage than you've had in years, especially in slower towns. One thing I always pay attention to beyond the numbers is how the market feels in these towns. So what January's data suggests is stability. We're not seeing mass turnover, we're not seeing panic, we're not seeing speculative churn. Instead, we're seeing longtime residents staying put unless there's a really clear reason to move. Buyers are being intentional about where they land, and neighborhoods changing. It's happening slowly, it's not abruptly, and that matters because a steady market preserves a community character, the school continuity, and a long-term property value outlook. A quieter market isn't a bad market, especially for places where people plan to live and not just flip. So here's our clean takeaway from January's North Shore data. The market is still active, but it's selective. The pricing power still exists, and it's especially in premium locations. The speed depends on alignment and not hype. We're going to look at how patience has become part of the process again, and this is a thoughtful market, not an emotional one. If you own a home on the North Shore, this is the kind of environment where good information makes a real difference. And if this update was useful, make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to be releasing these regularly, and each one builds on the last. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What town are you in? What do you want to hear more about? And what do you want to hear me break down next month? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.